Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. What if some of our deepest fears aren't even ours and our brain can actually be rewired to change those beliefs? Here to share why this happens and how we can use science to change our mindset, we welcome neuroplasticity expert Amina Zamani. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having
Of
me.
course. Well, I'm interested to hear about really science-backed stuff that explains things like why habits are so hard to change for us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's such a good question because I feel like all of us want to be in the 5 a.m. club, right? Or
Yes.
sometimes, but why is it so hard? The reality is that we have up to 60,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of those thoughts are recycled from yesterday. So when we're trying to make a change, it's threatening to the brain. So what we have to do is remind ourselves that change does not have to be challenging, and we just have to own that process. Because every single time you name the fear, you move it from the back of your brain to the front part of your brain, and it actually shrinks the fear.
Oh, that is fascinating. Well, and talking about things like changing habits, everybody has a different experience, but it can take a month, it could take 3 months. You've really got to kind of figure out where you are on that spectrum.
Absolutely. It can take between 18 days and 250 days to build a new habit. Now, the crazy part is, why does it take some people 18 days and other people 250 days? What is the answer? Scientists have found actually that the answer is much more provocative than you think.
Tell me
It's not
more.
totally. It's not motivation. It's not lack of willpower. It's not laziness. It's the scientific term called limbic friction. Now, limbic is the emotional part of your brain, and friction is resistance. So, this is absurd, right? You're telling me that the way that I can create change faster is if I acknowledge and get rid of my emotional resistance. Neuroscience is actually saying yes.
Okay, so we've got to clear out some of that mental clutter, right? Those limiting beliefs that are keeping us
Yes.
stuck.
Yes, exactly. So your limits aren't real. They're just old stories on repeat. Limiting beliefs are those silent, invisible scripts playing in the background. Things like, I'm not good enough, or success isn't for people like me. They quietly shape every decision you make and every opportunity you don't take. But beliefs aren't facts. They're just habits of thought. Remember, we have up to 60,000 thoughts per day. And the moment you challenge them, all you need is 2 minutes. If you start saying the opposite of a negative belief for 2 minutes a day for 21 minutes or 21 days, you're going to have a dramatically different experience in life.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, and I think you said those beliefs, they're not facts, and we forget that all the time. And a lot of that stuff, it is inherited, it is passed down to us, and we're not even realizing the things that we're taking on.
I know exactly. You're brilliant. Yes, that is inherited. 40% of our limitations are inherited through epigenetics. Epigenetic is just generational trauma that's passed down to you. So the best way to understand epigenetics is consider and what your mother's fear might have been in life, what your dad's fear is. And then consider if you have the same fear. And that's epigenetics in action. But the reality is, you can stop the process as soon as you recognize that you don't have to be limited in this way.
Do some people feel guilty letting that stuff go? Like, oh, my parents went through so much, they sacrificed things, they worked so hard to give me XYZ. Why would I let go of all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, we have more power when we can have compassion for our parents, but not suffer in the same way.
Mm.
A lot of times people think they have to suffer through pain, but you can actually change through joy. And we have these beautiful things called mirror neurons. When we're vibrating from joy, people that are down, that have suffered like our parents, will actually match your mirror neurons and match your frequency. So the best way to heal is to actually have deep compassion, but detach from their suffering. You don't need to feel the pain to change.
That sounds like such a healthier perspective. You mentioned a couple things we can do in 2 minutes earlier, like taking the opposite of those negative thoughts, and then
Yes.
instead of focusing on fear, focusing on just the totally opposite, all the positive things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we want to trick our brain because our brain is wired for survival and safety, not happiness. I want everyone to really understand that because there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way your brain is primitively wired. Now, the good news is that if we start reversing that process of thinking, you can change your life. But at first, it sounds really weird to say, I love and approve of myself. Like Louise Hay, my favorite author, says, right? If she said, if you just say that to yourself just 10 times a day, can dramatically change your life because that's all we're seeking in life. It's just love and approval. And if you say it enough, you begin to believe it. You start creating neurogenesis, which is the path, which is like essentially the process of creating new pathways.
It takes a little work, but it's very simple and we can all do it. And thank you so much for sharing with us today. It was so wonderful chatting with you.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to have been here. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, we'll have these tips and more about Amina on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.